Welcome, everyone. Welcome to TechTalk Friday. And here with me today will be Karamjit Singh, but he's on his way as always. Karam's always fashionably late. Karam will be right with us. So welcome to TechTalk Friday, and it's 7 o'clock sharp, and we're about to go. And today we actually have a fabulous guest, Andre Sequerah, who's from Scaleup Malaysia, and he's got a very checkered history actually. In terms of actually being able to not only build an organization, being able to sell it off. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and we're also going to talk a little bit about Startup Malaysia. And so, without wasting time, I'm going to bring Andre into the studio. Hey, welcome to the show. Great to have you with us. Hey, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a bit about yourself, and especially talk a little bit about how you got into this whole tech entrepreneurship space, and ultimately how you ended up selling your organization and becoming made it, I guess, so we say, right, in the business. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Roshan. I'll give you a bit about my background. I don't think I came from a typical entrepreneurial type family, to be honest. I came from a relatively humble background. Parents were teachers, things like that. So a lot of times it was that usual thing where you end up choosing engineering as a career. Not the most imaginative thing, but yes, I chose engineering as a career. And I spent a lot of time in corporate in my initial years. But after a while, I think, it was one of those things where, kind of like I felt that there was something more out there. And I decided to, try my hand at entrepreneurship, right? And this was a time when it was like, 15, 20 years ago, right? 15 years ago, about 15 years ago. At the time where I think even the ecosystem in Malaysia was not very, developed. Cradle was just taking off.
At least that was
Cradle had just started. So when we kind of started, Cradle also started, I think in 2005 or 6 at that time. And it was one of the pioneering moments in Cradle's time, and it was quite good. I felt that we were at that point in time, because prior to that, I think it was even harder. So when we started it was an software engineering company that tackled telecommunications, the communications area, and it was called Axio. So we started that in 2005, and then we had about an 8-year entrepreneurial journey with that, and the company got sold in 2013. And it was really an up and down thing, as you would always understand from an entrepreneurial journey. There were days or there were years, when you wonder is this really what I want to do? And there were times that you wonder how you're going to pay your staff salaries and stuff like that. But overall, I think the whole me and my co-founders, we were there really because we felt that we could do something good in the whole area, and we just kept at it. So I think that was what
was there. When you first set up the organization, was there a plan to exit at some point in time? Was all that thought about, or it's happened as time goes on?
I think that's the interesting thing. When we first started, it was never with the intention to actually sell, to be honest. We started because we had a group of like-minded people who just really, we were all good. We were all engineers, really, to be honest. And we thought we could do something really good in the tech world. So we did that, and we built a software around Axio, and we developed all that. It was only, I think, later on. So I raised funds from like Cradle. I raised a bit of funds from MDEC, and it was only later that I think when we got VC investor like MavCap on board that the idea that we've got about 4 or 5 years to look for some kind of exit. So and that put it on the table. But prior to that, it was just let's just have fun with building the company, right? So that was hard.
So I'm gonna introduce Karamjit Singh. So while Karam warms up to join us, some quick comments. Of course, Aaron Sama, he's a bit biased here, but he says you rock. He says you rock. And Sashi says hi to me, but not to Karam. Karam, see, Sashi doesn't say hi. And Shankar says nice. I don't know what nice is, but and Sham says good day to all, right? Side Shams, thanks. Good day to you guys too. So with that, Karam, we were talking a little bit about Andre's entrepreneurial journey and how he kickstarted it. Ultimately, he ended up selling the business. And when you exited, I guess you sort of is that how Scaleup, where you decided to take some of those funds and say, I want to now help others to go through that journey and have that delight of succeeding, so to say. Is that how your Scale Up Malaysia came about?
Well, the thing about entrepreneurship, I think it's never a straight line. After the company got sold in 2013, I worked for the company that acquired us for a while. So there was like a couple of years beyond that. And then when I left, it was like, okay, what do I do next? And I think prior to that, and this is also kudos to a person which I would like to say is Nazrin from Cradle. The late Nazrin.
Yep.
He actually encouraged me at the time to do some coaching and really to actually dip my fingers or feet and toes into it, and I did that with the CGP program, which was run by Proficio, right? So I did that, and I realized this is something I could do, right? But then as it happened, I suppose something else happened. There was I joined CIMB, and not because of anything, but because they had started a fintech division at the time, and it was sounded quite interesting to do. So I spent a couple of years with CIMB in the fintech division, and towards the end of that is when I think, and I met with Dr. Siva, who is the senior partner at Scaleup Malaysia, and we're just talking over coffee, and we're thinking, we were thinking about this, and I was saying, I was thinking that I should do something else beyond working in corporate again, because I was itching probably to do something else. So we talked about an accelerator, and then he said, there are other people who are interested, and then Aaron's name came up, and it was one of the serendipitous thing, I suppose. When a few people get together, and then as it happened, that's how Scaleup was born. So so and in 6 months we got it off the ground, and that was last year in October we launched it.
Okay, good. Karam, you want to jump in?
No, I think Andre. So you want to before I go to, so the reason why we brought him on the show is because he's one of the partners for Scaleup Malaysia, and significantly Scaleup Malaysia for its cohort 2, right? They brought in a Singapore base. It's a regional VC, right? They've been investing all over the region, but they managed to attract this VC to come in. And I spoke to the founding partner, actually, James Tan, and he says that, so Roshan, this is what James Tan was saying. He said, look, it's a no-brainer for us to want to invest in Malaysia, fine. And he said, if you're going to invest in Malaysia, it is also a no-brainer to partner with Scaleup Malaysia, because he said that they're the best team possible in the country. So no disrespect to the other teams, right? But he felt that these guys, so he felt that Scaleup Malaysia, the 5 founders, this is the best team possible. And he actually said that, look, and if they cannot attract any of the interesting entrepreneurs in Malaysia into their accelerator, it's not their fault. Those entrepreneurs have to look at themselves. And I thought, wow, that is very high validation. And nice. Coming from James Tan, so we were trying to get James on the show also, but he couldn't. So
Singaporeans,
they're a bit scared because we asked them about the government. So hey, your government, how are you? Everything good, man. Everything good.
Okay. All the time, Karam. And just a quick segue. This time, Jazbe actually said hi to Karam. So Karam, looks like you're getting some traction today, you got big growth.
Don't interrupt my train of thought. James. Okay, look, James is significant because James is the first Singapore entrepreneur who listed a Chinese tech company. Because when he decided to go to China to as an entrepreneur, co-founded an e-commerce company, and they got listed in I think 2009 in the US. I don't know whether it's Nasdaq or the NYSE. And then he sold out about 5 years later. So James is hugely significant, very seasoned player. So coming from him to say that, these guys are the best in Malaysia is high validation for them. So, and then on top of that, he's putting in $1 million. So cohort 1, they ran. So within 6 months of them launching their first cohort, they've attracted a VC to say, I'm putting in $1 million US. And because this is a regional VC, well-known, all the other VCs in the region now, Roshan, are going to say, hey, who's this Scaleup Malaysia? Let's find out about them. And I guess what? In their cohort 3, I'm very sure, I don't know, jinx it, they're probably going to get another international VC to come in and be part of the play. And this helps Malaysian startups, right? Existing players who are out there saying, hey, I want to try to get into that accelerator because it will really accelerate my plan because they've got, solid regional partners. So credit to them lah. But before I go there, your story as an entrepreneur also, because it's not well known unless you're in the tech space. So it's good that you give a bit of background. what I found significant was that I think the government has been a key player to help you, right? First with MDEC, because they gave you a seed grant to help you build your software, and then later with Cradle. So Cradle, did you get 350,000 or you got 500,000?
Well, you see, that's why I mentioned just now it was at the pioneering time of Cradle. So we got like 50.
Oh, 50K. Okay lah.
Yeah.
So earlier, but no. Sorry?
Yeah, but back then 50K was very valuable, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And it was enough to build a prototype. So
Exactly. So and then you got from MDEC, but people tend to say that actually now is the best time to be an entrepreneur. Of course, this was before COVID, I won't say now, but do you feel that during your time you were so fortunate that you started at that time where you had some public money support coming in to help you get a bit of traction and to further boost your morale, like, hey, this is not a lost cause, somebody is recognizing we're trying to do something interesting?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think they played a very large role in the sense of once you had that on there and you could say that we have Cradle or we have one of the government agencies with us, I think it lent some credence to what we were doing, because there was some vetting processes and people know that, right? So that was good. But not to say that 50K was great. I know at that time, you're just raising 50K was like, wow, okay, we got something, and people are believing that we can build something. So we had. I think with tech, we had a very strong tech team. All of the founders were strong in technology, but we're not the sales and marketers. I mean, to be honest, I've never been a person who's strongly on sales, strongly in marketing. It was something that you learn as you go along. So having that kind of really background in tech and having people look at you and say, yeah, I'm willing to give you money to build something, that was great to me. Yeah.
So, but Andre, your experience also, I think, Roshan, you don't know this, but because we were one of the ones probably the first ones to break the story that they were sold, to Axio in 2015, but also, Andre, in 2017, Andre, I don't know whether you remember.
Axio is a French company, right?
Yes. No. Axio was company, but it was sold to a French company. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So you wrote a story in October 2017, like 3 years ago. You were talking about surviving the trust deficit in Malaysia. Now, 3 years after writing that story, do you still feel that there is a trust deficit in this country, and that becomes an anchor, right? That becomes an anchor, a drag on all our entrepreneurs.
And Karam, just to give some context, talk through that story a little bit. What was the key insights that you talked about in terms of the trust deficit in Malaysia? Andrew?
I'm amazed that Karam actually remembers that article. But yes, I did write something at the time because I felt that at least during our time, right, it was, and as a young engineering type, software engineering type company, you didn't have the large examples of a Grab coming out. We were pre-Grab, we were things, right? So, we had the experiences where, we'd go and try to sell our software to a large, a GLC, let's say, just put a GLC. And people like the CTO would say, is this your software? I can't believe it's your software. That kind of phrase, paraphrase, but that was the kind of.
We still get that. Don't worry.
So it was a bit of a tough haul, but the flip side of that was that we were much more ready mentally than to actually say let's just go overseas, let's sell it to companies overseas, which we did. And that led from one thing to another to push us into that kind of acquisition, right? So I think, all things being said, there was a trust deficit at the time. I think it's much less now because we have really fantastic examples of big companies coming out of Malaysia, especially software companies. But there's still a lot of hidden gems, I think, in Malaysia, right?
Yeah.
There are a lot of good tech people, engineering people who are doing amazing stuff within Malaysia, and I've also talked to some companies who are immediately setting up in US or trying to tackle the US market, and we don't quite hear of all these stories here.
And so when you mean trust deficit, it's really local organizations trusting local developers and local SMEs, and having the same sort of trust that the local guy can deliver the same capacity at some of these international or US.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, not to say that it doesn't happen overseas, but I suppose there was always that feeling that if your company was incorporated in the US and you came here and sold, it would be much easier than if your company incorporated here and you sold to your local company. that
No,
was
and I don't disagree. I mean, I think it still exists because when one of the things is when we started our digital work, everyone said you need to set it up in Singapore. You need to, because no company is more respected and this and that. But I mean, it's still the same. We're still putting the same old platforms and apps and so on and so forth. Why does where you incorporate have any credence to your capability or your so I think even this was in February, right? Everyone's like, no, you got to set up in Singapore and you got to do it in Hong Kong, and you got to set up a unit in the US and keep the address like this. I'm like, no, I'm going to keep the address at KL and we'll leave it at that. But I think that's a good insight, because I think we got to, I think examples like yours that, hey, you look, a foreign company paid, quite a big amount to buy you guys up. And so it's not a local Malaysian company buying another local Malaysian company. It's a very different story, right? You've got you built it up in Malaysia with Malaysian talent and technology, and you managed to sell it off to somewhere else. So it's a good story that actually we are competitive globally, and I think it's kudos to you, and I've already seen a couple of messages coming. Dato' Nora Manov says congratulations, thanks for the insight, Karam, and I think this is for you also, Karam. Great insight, whatever that was. But I got a question from Shaji. We get the same questions too. Okay, I don't get it. Shaji, explain.
No. Shaji is saying that is this technology yours? Because Shaji is working on something also now, right? He's got his version of a garage, and he's trying to hack and create a product for retail, okay? For retail outlets, right? To make it easier for shoppers. So I find that while Aaron Andre says that it has improved, but that deficit is still there. And then hopefully, because Dato' Nora gave that comment, but hopefully, with having listened to Andre's story, hopefully an organization like Maybank never has to second doubt the veracity of an entrepreneur saying they got something there. That's where your tech team comes and discusses with them, right? So they should be able to at least engage with your tech team or your digital team to say, hey, I think they've got something there. He or she's got something there. Let's engage further, right? It shouldn't end at the fact that, hey, I don't think so. Like, thank you very much. Good luck with the rest, right? Cannot.
No, absolutely agree there. And Farouk, quickly, I again, lots of congratulatory sort of comments are coming in. So I think just it's a good story, right? And I think we need to continue to highlight this. So maybe Karam, you wanted to talk a little bit about Startup Malaysia, right?
No. What they are doing. So Andre, okay, Andre's there. He's been through the wars as an entrepreneur, and now they're bringing their knowledge combined, right, to help to look for gems in Malaysia. So they're obviously hoping to discover. Of course, if you discover gems and you accelerate their growth, at some point you also benefit from their success, lah. But I find it so amazing. I think from your first batch of 10 companies. I think one of the points you all made was whether it's you or Siva, because my colleague G was in the webinar with you all a few days ago, and you said that you found that the companies sometimes don't have enough the right people to help them grow the business further. So the entrepreneur may have already taken the business on his own, right, or on her own, to about 2, 3, 4 million, which is hugely significant, right? A one-man show can take it to that level, and they are stuck, but they don't seem to realize, or they cannot act to bring in the right person. And that's why the 5 of you all with your incredible network say, hey, no, you need this, you need that. And because Roshan, they've got credibility, the entrepreneur will listen. Maybe at home, the wife or the husband shouting at, hey, you need to bring in somebody like that. It all goes in here, comes out there. Suddenly, when Scaleup Malaysia tells them, they say, oh yeah, I have to do it. Yes, I will do it. And that's amazing. So it doesn't seem rocket science, but your credibility makes you connect with the entrepreneur. They hear you, It's kind of amazing.
So, Shaji corrects. He said, did you guys actually build this? I think, we get a lot of this type of comments, when especially Malaysian entrepreneurs, is this really yours? Did you really build it? And, it's a good segue. My producer is shouting in the background, hey, time. So, just to be conscious of time, we're going to go take a quick segue. And again, TechTalk Friday is brought to you by Nicole. So let's hold on for a quick dose of Nicole, right? So quick ad for Nicole. Okay, so that's Nicole, and also Malaysian made Nicole
Yeah.
is available today on a special price. Apparently, it's 70 US per year for it. Today it's off by 30%. So if you use that code, you get it at 50 US dollars. So that's my 30 second or 50-second segue to Nicole. Karam, let's get back to Andre and Scale Up Malaysia. Andre, you want to tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about your next phase of where you see Scale Up Malaysia going, and what some of your plans are?
Sure. I think for us in Scale Up Malaysia, it's really about, we've always, the five of us have always, or six of us have always had the view of building up ecosystem however we can, and trying to support all of that, right? So basically what we've been trying to do is, like in this case with bringing in Quest, is to bring in foreign funds, but not just the funds. It's funds is one part of it. The other thing is the visibility and the regional access and the global access that Quest can bring to the table. One part that we know that the gaps is really access to other networks, and this is really to address that. Yeah.
So when you, if I can ask, what is the main difference from cohort 1, the XP? What you have learned, right? With how you're gonna run cohort 2, and I think is this a 6-month long engagement, or is it a 12-week long intense engagement with the startups that you pick?
Well, the core of the program will probably last 3 months. But by the time we finish up with the strategic planning and all those other things, it's probably like 6 months at the outset. That would probably cover, even the administrative due diligence and all those other things, right?
Yep.
But really, the main differences, I suppose, is that even for us, I mean, to be fair, that cohort 1, we had fantastic companies. We ourselves learned a lot about the companies and what they need. A lot of the best practices now are going to go back into cohort 2. Some of those would be things like, sometimes it's just addressing certain basics. So while we have great founders who are very passionate about business, I think that sometimes some of the fundamentals also need to be addressed, and that's where the program takes some of the learnings that we took from cohort 1, and we're actually structuring it for cohort 2. So we have a more program modules into it. Yeah.
So, but the money also is high. Did you mention how much money the 10 companies will get then? Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, already did, right? Okay, yeah. It's bigger than the first cohort. Because first cohort was only 200,000, right?
Yeah.
Sorry?
This will be 250K. 250K.
No, the first cohort was how much?
200.
Oh, that's 200 lah. So increase it by 50,000. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm sure it'll go up a bit more for the third cohort also. It helps these companies, accelerate, and it gives the entrepreneurs a sense that, wow, somebody recognizes my value, but there are gaps there, and so it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. I think we always talk about the money part, but actually what we really want is to be able to help with addressing the gaps, and that's the whole program's kind of structured around that. What are the gaps? How can we actually fill up those gaps within the expertise that we have in our team and within the network.
So in terms of management, right? Because you say you help them identify, hey, you need a key person here to do this, or you need a key person here to do that. And I actually spoke to one of the companies that was in your cohort, and they said that because they were in there, you helped them identify who their best customer was or so. And honestly, I've heard that before, but this just blew me away. I was like, boom. I said, what? How can you, as an entrepreneur in a small business, Roshan, it's not a 30 million business.
Your question is, how can they not know who their most profitable customer is?
Right? Because it's a small company, right? Maybe earning about 2-3 million, and he said he didn't know. It's like, wow, seriously, yeah.
Wow, yeah. Unless it's a very complex product, sometimes with layers of complexity. Sometimes then it's hard.
Everybody should know who their best customer is. This one didn't know.
Should is one thing, I got a couple more comments are coming up. I guess Dato' Nara is talking about maybe a quick read, on this. And Karam, this is specific to your comment. So you want to respond, Karam, very quickly?
Oh, no, it's great. I think the intention then changes, right? So I think what Nora's saying is that everything is accelerated. So what she's kind of hinting is that Maybank also is on the ball, and I think they will do a better job of listening carefully and not listening with huge amount of, hey, cannot lah, Malaysian, sure cannot. It's so good to be true, right? That's great. Hopefully Maybank can set the bar, for all of corporate Malaysia to say, hey.
We've also seen telcos like Axiata, start their own digital piece,
Oh, yeah,
and then So I think there is now a realization that there's some gems out there and we need to find them. Maxis has their labs, so there is, I think, a concentrated effort to really zoom in on this space.
It's still slow, lah, but it'll get better because guys like Andre at the front line and they'll hear from their startups, right? So this is good. This is good.
Yeah.
So I think it's very positive. Yeah,
Sorry,
to your comment that the Maxis and everybody else is in the game also and having all of this. I think it's very positive. It's a very positive situation in the ecosystem because the pace of business nowadays and harking back to that statement is so fast. The acceleration of business today is so fast, and news travels so fast. So whatever research that comes out of the US, you get it next day, right? And really, you do need everybody to be on the ball and in the game, so to speak, to be able to take advantage of all that and really, bring it to the next level.
No, and last week, to re-emphasize, last week when Ganesh was on the show, he said when he started in 2002, 2001, technology was a barrier, so it became a differentiator for you. He said now technology is not the differentiator anymore. Yeah, and he actually said that it's the go-to-market strategy. It's like you've already built the product, then assuming the product addresses a market need, then how does the market know that you've got a product that can answer their pain point? So how the dynamics of the market has changed. So very interesting.
Andrea, one of the things that's interesting is you said you didn't have much marketing and sales experience, yet you managed to somehow scale up your product and get it to market and then commercialize it, and also essentially get a buyer to who got excited by your traction, right? I think I look at myself also. We are pretty good at developing the product. We're pretty good at doing all the content pieces, the development pieces, but we suck at marketing, right? We suck at selling, right? And that's the truth. I keep telling my team, you guys, we're good, but nobody knows about what the heck we do, right? What were some secrets or what did you do right? In a situation like we are probably similar in that sense, not having the right skills or the ability to push yourself out there and to sell and be shameless about it. What should we be doing? What did you guys do to get yourselves out there?
I think it's always important to kind of know where your strengths lie, and really where your gaps are. It's really trying to find a person who can fill that. So we hired salespeople. We had a key salesperson who then actually drove our sales for us, and he did it fantastically, right? So we knew that we were the engineering guys, right? And the good part about it was that if you talk to any engineering team anywhere in the world, we would get through to them, right? But we needed a salesperson to help us close the business because that was his skill set, and we just accepted that, right? So there was this case of managing and developing the team rather than trying to do everything yourself.
Yourself, yeah. Okay, I think Roshan, we've got a few stories for the week that we can talk about, right? And so we can go and
use excuses for maybe 5-10 minutes, depending on how long Karam goes. I'll try to. No. We are going to just share some stories, and Andre. So what we do, Andre, we also get the guests to comment, right? So and because you mentioned Maxis, right? I'll just start with them, and because they've actually partnered with Google Cloud to accelerate their own data analytics, AI, and machine learning capabilities. But while doing that, all is fine. What I found interesting is that Maxis says, "Look, we're going to do all these things, and we think the outcome is that we can drive accelerated and stronger customer experience." So in the end, right, they are relating what they do at the back end with data analytics, right, to giving the customer a better outcome. And because at the end of the day, the technology is just a tool, right, for you to serve your market, correct? Because otherwise, nobody wants to buy your product. So I thought that was kind of interesting. They use a lot of big words and all, but this point really struck me that they actually want to deliver. They use the word unmatched personalized experience, but really it's about just making sure your customers love you, love your product, your services, and they will stay with you, right? And then they're investing with Google Cloud and doing a lot of things on the back end, and a full transformation, right, from their thinking consumers, their enterprise, their network, also the retailers, channels, and their staff also. So it's they're transitioning 100% of the business
to online, which is quite significant. Yep. So I think
all with Google. I mean, essentially complete partnership with Google.
yeah, no, there is, but apparently no. They also on the cloud side, they also partner with Amazon Web Services because last year they confirmed that Amazon Web Services. So they're using two parties, but
Okay.
Google is interesting because when you partner with Google Cloud, Google has Google's got all the information on all of us, right? And it's actually somebody from one of the tech bosses told me that even our messages on WhatsApp, the AI now can detect what we are talking about, and you can see, and it comes out in your Facebook, and you see certain ads because Facebook owns WhatsApp, right?
Yep.
So he said, literally, it's quite scary. This coming from a tech boss, a very seasoned entrepreneur. He said, especially Google and Facebook, they've got so much data, and it appears in other forms targeting you in some way or form. So to get your answer again, to answer your question is Maxis is also got Amazon Web Services, but they're just driving the company for digital transformation because the CTO says that digital transformation is touching every part of the company, and the success for our company comes from blending in-house skills, with world-class technology partners like Google. So you got to use in-house skills also, and you partner with a top-class company from out there. So that's what.
So any other stories, any other big highlights, Karam, from Southeast Asia?
Okay, and then one more thing, I'm excited to announce that next week we're gonna have Kamarul from Aerodyne on the show. And I was joking with Kamarul that DNA almost had to appoint a full-time editor to follow all the market news coming out from Aerodyne, because last week they expanded to Mexico, and now this week they've set up an entity in Kazakhstan, to conquer Central Asian markets. So, and interesting enough, they now term themselves as the world's fastest-growing drone solutions company. So
so we have Aerodyne next week, and that'll be a good show. So Karam, any other things that we know of that's happening? Any other big news that's happening?
No. I think Gopi from MDEC, wrote a piece for DNA, and he is actually talking about how amid the pandemic, some of the tech companies have responded, by being innovative, thinking out of the box. And coming up with new solutions or packaging their solutions to answer a market need now. And he used the example of SoftSpace and Secure Metric. And I think SoftSpace was interesting because they were actually supposed to use their payment solution for the Tokyo Olympics, And because SoftSpace has got a Japanese investor, so they were all excited to say that, hey, we are part of the Tokyo Olympics. And then, the Olympics got delayed.
Well, they can do it next year.
Yeah, no. But then because of what the work they were doing there, they actually now they were doing one of the Japanese transport companies is using the solution for their buses, and I think I think Tokyo City Hall or whatever said that, hey, this is one of the solutions that is very good because it's contactless. So you think an advanced society like Japan, everything is contactless? Like no, but they are now rolling out in buses and it's been recognized. So they rebounded from that.
SoftSpace is one of the early Malaysian tech organizations. Not many people know of them. Yeah. Not many people know of them. So I mean, they've been Sorry, Andrew.
It's back to that thing about marketing. I think Malaysian companies need to do more to market themselves.
So I got a couple of questions. People are popping up. Let me get to one quick one. This one is from Jasbe. I think I agree with her on the need to co-create. In terms of Nicole, it's both a B2B product and a B2C product. So in organizations, it's a learning platform, but B2C, it's a customized, curated AI platform. So essentially, if you have it, it will customize specific content to who you are, right? So you get different feeds from everybody. So there's a B2C version which is available for everyone, but there's also a B2B version. Again, Nora sort of agrees with you on CX. Someone smart said it's not about the tech; it's what we do with the tech. And I think we can agree with it. Yep.
I think if I bring up what this Edward Law is doing, right? Because it's a homegrown digital security solutions provider. And they've got customers in Indonesia, in Singapore, Hong Kong also. They had a big problem because their manufacturing facility in China went stopped, right? Mm-hmm. So your supply chain got affected, revenue dropped dramatically. But they came back up and they've got 130 people company. So you talk about homegrown gems. this is a security company with 130 workforce, in Malaysia and other companies. And I think one of the tips that Edward gave, that I found intriguing, and maybe Andre, you can comment, is he gave some tips that he said you got to digitize now, and you got to perform regular financial health check on your company. You see where you are, your cash flow especially. Yeah. But the point that I found interesting, he said you should adopt zero talent redundancy. That means that your organization should be lean and mean, the workforce, with no wastage and no bureaucracy. And and so your staff are fighting among themselves to be the fittest, and where the best talent then attracts the best talent also. This is a bit like the GE culture, which Roshan is familiar with. And of course, he ended up not being the best talent. That's why he got kicked out by GE. But I'm sure while he was in there, he enjoyed it, right? And so it's interesting that the Malaysian entrepreneur is recommending that, zero talent redundancy.
I completely agree. I mean, during our time, we went to great lengths to actually keep our staff. And I think, it takes so much effort to actually train people. And if they leave, it leaves a huge gap and a huge impact on the rest of the team. So I think that, we talk about tech a lot, but a lot of times the discussions ended up about, how do we keep a person, or, how do we make them, more productive and happy at the same time, right? I totally agree with that statement. Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Zero, interesting. I looked at it and I saw it sounded a bit Amazonian, not GE, like Amazon is very,
I mean, but if you look at it from a statistical point of view, a startup is 10 people. If you lose one person, that's 10% of your workforce.
Yeah.
So, if you want to look at it from a quantitative point of view.
But if you lose somebody who's not so good, then it's fine, like, you want to bring people in. But I think his point was that, you want to just try to get the best and keep the best. And because now you got people available out there, right? So you can bring in good quality talent also that got laid off in their previous jobs or whatever. So, yeah. And I think one of the other entrepreneurs, the first one, Joel Tay, also said that, he advised startups or companies not to adopt what was the term he used? Like don't use this reason as an excuse. I think he used a special term. What was it? Let me see. It will come to me. He said don't play the victim card. So that's kind of interesting, because it's easy to blame, right? We because of this situation now we can't do well and all that. He said the pandemic is going to be here, right? So it's going to continue to affect every walk of life. And basically, he's saying that use the opportunity, right? Discover where there's opportunity for you to create a revenue generating, service or product for yourself. But he advised people don't play the victim card. And I already hear that quite a bit, right? People say, because of this sudden situation, right? I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that. So I hear that quite regularly. And you understand, right? You instinctively understand, you accept. But here, this guy said, don't play the victim card. So maybe you can, you can accept it to a certain extent, but don't make it the overbearing thing, and then you subconsciously lose your reason to fight because this big thing happened to the whole world. I got an excuse now to maybe close down or give up and do something else. And I think somebody said that you only fail when you don't keep trying, right? So keep trying till the very end, right?
Yep. Okay. So we today's good timing. We can wrap it up relatively soon. A couple more comments, and then we'll get your final thoughts from both of you, gentlemen. And then
no, not 50 minutes. Wonderful, man. We want to try to keep it to 40 minutes, Andre.
So, and if anyone has quick questions, now's the time to ask before Karam makes this into another 1 hour. So,
my fault. Okay.
I have to take part of the blame. Okay, so there's AI and machine learning. Digital transformation, customer experience through data analytics, storytelling on Max's key points to beautiful sense of genius, a sense of collection genius. Okay, never mind. Another comment: zero talent redundancy, classic term, hard to sustain with today's Malaysia.
That's a good point. With today's millennial workforce, so I don't know whether you have found that with your first cohort of 10 companies or too early to tell yet, Andre.
It's probably too early to tell, but I mean, every new generation of workforce is going to have its challenges. It's just how we're going to address them, right?
So your first cohort, right? I assume they are all graduating, or they will be graduating.
Then already, they already
graduated.
These are existing companies. They are not brand new companies.
I understand. But what would be the measurement now over the next couple of years?
What we do is that after they graduate, we still work with them. So the external management team is there, so which is us, right? And we work with them, sometimes every week, sometimes every couple of weeks, to be able to keep track of them, but also to help them with making certain key decisions. It's quite I suppose some of
What's
these
your
guys are younger. Sorry?
what's your interest to continue? What motivates you guys to continue with these guys? Do you have some equity, or
Oh
is
yeah,
there?
of course.
Yeah. Yes, the accelerator does have equity in it, but the whole program was geared to the fact that we want to address and help companies, because we realize a lot of companies get a certain point and then they kind of fall off the cliff. So we realize that's the difficult part in the ecosystem, right? You need to actually keep some consistency. You need to actually continue to build the company. So we work from them from like month 7 to up to 2 years to be able to keep that
Right.
focus.
And so, cohort 2 is about to start, or should have started.
Cohort
Right?
2 should start next month.
Next month.
We were in the middle of the applications process, so yeah.
Okay, so people can still apply for cohort 2. Okay.
No.
Yes, maybe just go
Oh,
to
you
our
can. I
website.
to close already. Okay. Oh, what's the closing date for applications?
Closing date is September 28th. So if you go to our website at
Okay, yeah.
Scaleup.my, you'll actually get to it.
Highly recommended. Highly recommended.
So Scaleup Malaysia website, right?
Not my. Yeah.
Yeah. Scaleup.my.
No,
Scaleup.my.
Scaleup.my, not Scaleup Malaysia.
Okay, Scaleup.my. And okay,
Okay,
final
Roshan,
thoughts.
you also apply, huh? You apply, okay, Roshan.
Yeah, no,
I think
we are trying- yeah, but not for Leronomics. Actually, we are in deep talks on Evox, which is a product company. We are doing digital products where we are doing simulations and like movies. Working with Hollywood producers to make movies and then push out the movies and have learnings from the movies. So we have an organization called Evox, which Hui Ming and my co-founders we set that up. So that one's actually we're talking to Aaron, Sama, and those guys. Yeah. So I mean I'm a fan, and I've pushed my team to become part of cohort 2 or 3. I can't 2, I guess. So that's
no, it cannot be the team, Roshan. It has to be the founder, the entrepreneur has to be. You cannot be your machai. No machai.
So that one I'm not the founder. I'm the investor. So that one's slightly different.
Okay.
Nice. So it's scaleupmalaysia.com, right?
Scaleup.my.
Dot my my.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna pick it up. Okay, all right. Scale up.
Scaleup.my.
Oh, scale up. Not scale.
Scaleup.my.
Let's see how bad. Okay, never mind. I'll get it right one day. Right.
Yeah.
Scaleupmalaysia.my. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
All
All right. So with that, Karam, your final thoughts?
My final thought is that this so-called Malaysian discount that people normally say, it's actually I think in other Asian countries, and I share this anecdote of one entrepreneur. No, he's not entrepreneur. He has a share in the company. He was brought in to be part of the company, early stage, based out of Singapore, a regional company. And then he was asked to head their US operations. So he went over to the US, and he said that in the US, when you talk to a potential customer and you say this is an innovative product and all, the customer will ask you, is anyone else using it? And when you say no, at least in their country, they say, good, I want to be the first one. And the mindset is totally different. They want to be the first one because, of course, you have to convince them that it is an innovative product. And he said in Singapore, they actually had a telco do a pilot for one of their products. So in the local market, when they share to people, right, and they said, do you have any local customer? He said the skepticism is high. When they mentioned this local telco, and then they said, anyone else? So you got one top company there who is not enough for the local market. They wanted other customers also. And he said it's so difficult to get sales in Singapore, so they don't believe that. And for us, it's amazing, right? Because Singapore has got so many regional companies set up there. If even they have a hard time pushing to the market, what more in Malaysia, right? So I don't want people to think it's only in Malaysia, right? But thankfully, with Dato' Nora saying it's changing in Maybank, wonderful. It's going to get better. And all entrepreneurs never had Scaleup Malaysia before, right? These amazing 5 people sharing their network, their experience, their failures, right? To help you accelerate. What more do you want?
Absolutely. And just to wrap it up, I think for you, I think the question was maximum 2 years. Andre, I think it's in relation to the point that you were making earlier about your involvement at Scaleup Malaysia.
Yeah. No, it's not a maximum 2 years. I suppose what we're saying is that we will keep with you for the 2 years to as an external management company, but that can't be forever, right? So post that, we will still work with you. It's just that we may not, be as hands-on, I suppose. I would say.
You do take your equity position in them, so it means that you will.
We will actually always be with them until
always be more of a shareholder and have some sort of vested interest to ensure that they're successful. Right?
Correct. Yes.
Right. Okay. With that, thank you guys very much. It's been good chatting with with everyone. We will be back next week. We have Kamarul from Aerodyne who's joining.
Kamara Muhammad from Aerodyne. Yep.
Yeah, so it's going to be a blockbuster one because Kamarul's everywhere, right? I mean, they're in the US, Kazakhstan. They are in the Indian police, and in India, the police uses them.
New Delhi police.
New Delhi police. So I'm like, everywhere you go,
I think the police use them to find who's breaking the law, so they can send the officers with their long rota and whack people. Everybody's seen those videos on WhatsApp, right?
That was great. It's great that they made such waves. Yeah.
So it's next week's Malaysia Day. So for all of you, happy Malaysia Day, and
happy Malaysia Day.
And continue to help build up our country in the technology space and in the entrepreneurial space, and hopefully we can ride out 2020, and 2021 will be a blockbuster year. We're saying goodbye to everyone. And again, thank you for I guess being part of it. Karam, any other final words you want to say?
No, that's it. I think I really appreciate people staying on the show for so long, and the good questions that are coming out, right? It's fantastic. So makes our job easier. So thank you so much, guys, right? Thank you, Shaji. That's great.
Friday. So thank you very much for loving it.
No, thank you, Andre, right, for coming and sharing us your entrepreneur stories, your perspective. Fantastic. So have a good weekend, everybody.
Have a good weekend, and that's TechTalk Friday for you. And we will see you guys next Friday, same time, same place, 7 p.m. Malaysian time. TechTalk Friday. See you guys.